Design actually is a very generalized term, but coming back to our basic thing, which is production design, anything that goes in front of camera becomes part of your production design. So in that sense, whatever is shown on screen, because cinema has this ability to have a very selective viewing. So you can in fact zero in onto a particular micro spot and do something about it. Or you can showcase a very minute detail which is generally not seen in everyday. That's what cinema is so beautiful, that you see everyday things in a very new light. So everything becomes very special. It's kind of showcased for you. So that showcasing means production design as it is. Whether there is a set or not. The fact that there is a backdrop against which some characters are moving in a story, so to say. The image, the frame becomes part of production design. So film production design is very important, obviously. And when we were doing projects like Mr. Benegal himself, where we started Bharat Ek Khoj, for instance, Mr. Shyam Benegal himself is such an evolved individual in terms of information and in terms of aesthetics. So he would guide us. And he would say, why don't you look at that and look at this and do that? And then he sent me and Nitish Roy, who was the art director for that production, and who's actually the only sensible big production designer we have in India, historically speaking now. Bansi Chandragupta was the first one who worked so much with it. But Nitish Roy has that understanding of cinema, what frames can do, what images can do, and translate that into on-screen. So me and Nitish Roy, we were sent to Delhi for a week by Mr. Benegal to meet Archaeological Survey of India scholars, study all the available archaeological material, meet scholars, discuss with them, see how they perceive periods and how they perceive artifacts and how you can use it for cinema. So that was a big learning for me. In fact, the fact that I accepted costume designing in a project like Bharat Ek Khoj was largely due to the fact that I consider designing as an extension of the direction side of filming. To me, a designer per se can bring value to the project, but it has to be under the overall vision of the director. So 2002, when Gujarat riots happened, I was, like all of us, we were very disturbed. And we wanted to do something. And Jindal Art Centers, which was at NCPA, invited me to do something on communal harmony.
Right. Communal harmony.
So I said, but communal harmony is a failure. The fact that we say Hindu-Muslim bhai bhai and all is well, and we brush aside the issues. So I would like to do a show where I can kind of place why the recurrence of communal riot became my inquisition, so to say. And I picked stories from partition time, from riots of Bengal, from a riot in Punjab partition story, Ravi Park came in. Then there was Hilsa from Bengal came in. Then there was this Samresh Basu's story, Khuda Hafiz, which was done on screen earlier in Kirdar by Irfan and Omji. So I adapted that for stage. And then there was one Khauf, which was on the Bombay Riots. Bombay Riots, which Atul Kulkarni did. And I was very fortunate to have this friend team. I had Atul Kulkarni, Yashpal Sharma, Anup Soni, Lubna, Vaishali Thakkar. They came in wholeheartedly to do this project. And
then Ganesh Yadav, Kishore Kadam.
Ganesh Kishore. Yes, no, you're right. Ganesh Kishore also were there. From Marathi stage, Gujarati stage, Hindi stage, they all came together. And the first show we did on 18th of July, I still remember. 18th of July is when it happened at NCPA in 2002. And we had Mr. Benegal was there, Hussain Saab was there, you name it, they were there. And it was like, I didn't know what will happen because I was directing a play, a serious play after a long time. Although Taj Mahal ka tender my other play, which is still running, fortunately, happened. So that had happened in March, and this happened in July, and Ghalib Nama also happened in March. So I had 3 very quick productions of theatre in 2002. And because by that time I had done television shows as a director, I had directed stories. So all that went behind, and I came into theatre. And then from then on, theatre has been a vocation. Although there were films like Guru, for instance, where Mani Ratnam sir invited me and said, "Why don't you?" And his only thing was that please ensure that anything which goes in front of camera is correct. So I was there for the period consultancy. So was my work in Takshak, and Anil Sharma ji's brother had planned the other project also, Tumhare Wale. So those period tags somehow came to me. In our mainstream films, there is very little a designer was expected to do. Because the main characters would have their own personal designers. And some of them were family people. And for rest of them, there were suppliers. And so it was very clear-cut demarcation. The cost of costume of the leading lady in one scene would equal the cost of the entire crowd and dancer's costume of a particular sequence. That was the kind of difference, and that was the kind of attitudinal difference which put me off. Because the moment it came to mounting projects, I was told there's no budget, somehow manage. So, which is very sickening, because they have monies to spend on waste rather. I don't want to call it anything. But in our mainstream cinema, 15% of our budget is kind of wasted on whims. But when it comes to spending on actual production, something which is going to be seen on screen and can have an impact. Because the thing is, once a film is shot and cut and released, that's there for whatever innumerable 100, 2,000 years, whatever. So when I look back, say, on a project which was, I forgot to mention, Sardar Patel film, which Ketan Mehta directed, which I also did the costume and research for that. So when you look back on those projects, when you see the flaws, you just cringe. Because you can do nothing about it. But at that particular time of shooting, there were compulsions to let that go. Because of a larger issue. Say Rashtrapati Bhavan, you can't take swords inside. Weapons were not allowed. So Lord Mountbatten will have to be without a sword. So those kind of issues. Now, what can you do? You see, theatre is where my sensibility comes from. But I have to forget theatre when I'm doing films and television. Because it's a very different demand medium, so to say, and it has its own values and compulsions. So theatre helps me abstract things. Theatre helps me in stylizing a few things. I may have maybe a little more number of solutions for issues, which, as say, a fashion designer may be handicapped with. Because I come from a direction background, so my comprehension of the script, my comprehension of characterization, my understanding of the milieu, my understanding of between the lines is something which brings in a lot of value to the design. For instance, Maachis. Now Chandrachud was to come and meet Tabu. That was the scene. He was a young boy. So, and I had known Punjab, I had seen Delhi, I had understood. So I suggested to Gulzar sir, why not introduce him like a young budding hockey player? Because in that period, the hockey of Punjab declined when terrorism went up. The supply to the national team had declined. And the idea was to show that the boys who used to have hockey sticks in their hand now had AK-47s. So now those are the kind of values where I think my experience of theatre life brings in.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video, and if you like what we do, follow us on our socials and check out our other uploads.